Hey nerds, this is Pam coming to you from Stationery Nerd. I know, it's been a while. I'm sorry. Okay, but we have stuff to talk about. I'm going to introduce you to the system that I use to keep my tasks and calendar organized for my job. So I'm a graphic designer and I have about 12 different departments that I do design work for, and I have a lot of big projects that are long spanning. Some are just tiny little tasks, some are year-long campaigns. So I needed a way to keep track of all of the moving parts and make sure that I don't drop any of the balls and still be able to play with stationery. So I have a 5-point system, which includes, number 1, my work journal. So this is where all tasks go. And then I have another, I keep calling this a journal, but it's not, it's a Padfolio. And this is what I use for meeting notes. I'm just now starting this. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And then I combine obviously a calendar and also some digital planning and a massive whiteboard in my office. So we're going to talk about all of it, and instead of looking at my face anymore, I'm going to put you down to the table and we're going to talk about my system for keeping my work life organized. All right, I'll talk to you soon. See ya. First of all, let me just give you a little bit of information about my job. So I'm a graphic designer for my day job. So I serve about 12 different departments. So I have requests for my services coming in at lightning speed sometimes. So I need a way to keep track of all of the tasks that are coming in, as well as keeping track of the projects as they move through the system. So there are several components that make this whole thing work. So number 1, my calendar is 100% digital. I use Outlook, a combination of Outlook and Google Calendar. And then also I have got my work bullet journal, even though it's very un-bullet journal-like. And then this is brand new. I haven't actually tested it out yet. I just got it in the mail yesterday. And this is going to become my meeting note journal, or meeting note Padfolio, I guess actually it is. And then in my office I have a huge whiteboard, and I'll show you pictures of that. But then also for bigger projects I do rely on some digital planning and project management as well. So before we get in to things, I'm just going to show you my everyday carry. So this is my pen case, and it's leather, and I don't know what that LXFF stands for. I think it's the brand that sold it to me. But anyway, I got it on Amazon. I'll find it and link it for you below. It actually holds a ton of pens. So in here I have, so this is the pen that I've been using, but I'm about to retire it. A rainbow nib on it, which is really what drew me to this pen to begin with, because of that rainbow nib. But I've been using it for a few weeks, and now I have another one, and we're gonna retire that one. So this is a new one. This is brand new, just got that a couple of days ago, loaded it up, and I love the way it writes. I'll link these below. And then the pens that I use for my everyday carry as well. And we have a Pounce. And Pounce is just gonna sit there. Okay, and then this is my home ruler, but I have a ruler at the office too, and this is actually centimeters. So this just stays at the office. So I'm just going to set that aside because none of this is important. Oh, and by the way, this is the ink that I'm using. It's green. My brand colors at work is green, so this is green with gold powder in it. I got this on AliExpress, and I kind of love this ink. We'll do an ink test on this later. Okay, so this is Pounce. She's just gonna sit right there. And hopefully she'll just behave. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about my work bullet journal. We are at the end of February, and I just switched from this journal. This is a Lamome, and I used this all during 2019. Actually, did I? Yeah, started in January 2019 and ended with not very many pages left. So I was able to fit a whole year in here, which was nice. And then I decided that I was going to move to something different. I started using fountain pens at work, and this paper is not good for fountain pens, or at least not the ones that I was using. But let me, I think I'm gonna do a flip through in the new one. Okay, so this is a leather cover, and it is by Shinola. And Shinola I've always known to be the watchmaker or the bike maker. They're here in Detroit. Yes, I'm in Michigan. Detroit's about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes south of me. And this is kind of amazing leather. I'll link it below. It's kind of expensive, but once you feel it, it's super soft, super pliable, but still sturdy, and it's very thick. It is kind of expensive, but it's worth it. So, okay, and then inside, actually, let me just take this out so you can see what the journal is on the inside. Oh, now we have a jack. You know what? This is not going to come out very easily, and I'm just not going to do that. I'll just link it for you. So this is the Life notebook. We're going to get rid of some cats. I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the Life notebook. It is not Tomoe River paper, but it's some type of Japanese paper, and it does have a light blue grid on it. Let me actually zoom in here so you can see that. I don't know, maybe you can't see it. Yeah, so it's super light grid. I guess maybe it's not blue, maybe it's gray. And it's some type of Japanese paper, so it takes fountain pen really well. There's no bleeding and no ghosting. I don't think I did a pen test. I probably did somewhere, but I don't know where it is. But anyway, so let's just take a quick flip through, and I'll explain my system as we go. So I'm scrapping the entire bullet journal flip through that I was just about to put into this video as I was editing. As I said earlier, it was around the end of February that I was originally filming this video, and now here it is the first part of April, and life has dramatically changed, to say the least. So not only am I working from home, but the way that I'm using my work bullet journal has changed dramatically as well. So I figured I'd just scrap the entire middle section of this video and just shoot new stuff and insert the new stuff in the middle. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you how I would typically use my journal, and how I lay things out. So usually I have a cover page of just something with my name and information. This is the palette for brand colors for my job. And then I just do a cover page, and then these pre-printed monthly pages. This is just printed on sticker paper, and then I stick it in for each new month. And then this is what I call my month at a glance. So I stick in a cover page. This is really just a reference. I don't use this journal at all for appointments. And then what I do is I just kind of sit with my calendar at the beginning of the month and write down all the big things that are happening for that month. And then this just becomes kind of my beginning of month planning, so I can just see what's coming and I can mentally prepare for that or get some projects in place based on what is coming in the month. So this is all information that's taken from my digital calendar. I visit this page once for the entire month and then I never come back here again. And then on the next page after the calendar is my tasks forward. Let me just zoom in here a little bit so you can see this better. So this is a list of all of the tasks that were left over from the previous month. So clearly this is January, so this is stuff that was left over from December when I was in the other journal. I just go by department and I gather all of the tasks that were not finished and put them in a big list. I'll explain the highlighting in a minute, but once I get through this tasks forward, I just start right in with, actually this is also transfer of a big project that was in the other journal, so this came forward, and then this also came forward as well. And then I just start right straight in and begin the daily logging. It's clear that life was crazy at the beginning of January because my first entry is January 14th. So actually I have, let me just look. This is my journal from last year. So what happened at the end of December? So I was actually here. So this is January the 8th. So I was in this journal the first week. So this is the first, the third, sixth. So I was actually in this journal, my old journal, still in the first and second week of January. And then I moved into here clearly on January 14th, which is not unusual. Things get crazy for me at the job around this time of the year. I zoomed in too far. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay. So what I normally do is whatever comes in for the day, whether it's an email request, a phone call, or somebody showing up at my office asking for a project to be done, it just goes on the list. And then the next day I start with the date, and whatever is asked of me that day goes on this list. This is actually a meeting notes page, and we're going to talk about the way I do meetings in a little bit because this is different than what I'm doing now. And then whenever I just get to a new page, I start a new list. Very simple. This is a big planning project, so if I do have a big project that is going to take several weeks to work through or has a lot of moving parts, I will set aside a whole page. The planning for this didn't go exactly how I had planned, so this is mostly blank, but that's okay. I'm fine with that. This is actually a continuation of that same project. I sometimes use printed list if it's easier for me to think through that way. This is another meeting. And then here you can see I've got three days on this one page. So the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, all just day by day. And that's kind of how I operate. So the way that, so then here I am at the end of the month, and then we have the beginning of a new month, and again, just a month at a glance, kind of going through, deciding what's happening that month, writing down the big projects, not necessarily every single meeting, but the big things that I need to pay attention to, and then moving tasks forward. So this is the task forward for February that came from the undone things back in January. So what happens is, so I have two highlighter codes. Anything that is highlighted in green means that that project is done and it's complete and been delivered. Anything that is highlighted in gray basically means you can ignore that entry. So it's either been moved somewhere else, it's no longer needed, or I'm just going to ignore it. I don't want to do it anymore, or it's not needed, or the project's been canceled, or whatever. So it's gray or green. Green is done, gray is ignore. And that's the system that I use for the entire journal. So this page right here kind of shows you foreshadowing of what's to come. So normally at the end of the month, I will come back to my tasks forward page and highlight the items that were finished, and highlight in gray the things that were not finished and need to be migrated into the following month. So where are we? So here we are in March. So I did move things forward, but I don't believe I've moved everything forward. So there are still things in February that did not get finished and did not get migrated. Now, you might ask why I'm such a slacker and why didn't this stuff get done? Well, March the 10th here in Michigan was the day when we saw our first confirmed positive case in the county that I work in of the virus. And so things were going along swimmingly. The 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 9th, and then the 10th was kind of normal. The 11th was kind of normal. And then the 12th kind of is when things got a little bit crazy. And then the 13th, also a little bit crazy. And then we've got a meeting here. And then things get nutty. Here I'm just tracking my overtime hours here, just so I can keep that all in one place. But so basically, let me just give you the rundown. The graphic designer in the executive office of the company that I work for, the organization I work for. We're a government agency on the local level, and because I am a graphic designer at the executive level, I also serve on the emergency response team. So you wouldn't think that a graphic designer needs to be a first responder. Well, think again, because anytime you see social media graphics or website graphics or special flyers or newsletters coming out, those are all coming through the design department, the communications department, that those emergency responders are communicating to the public. So I have been part of that response team and doing a lot of work as it relates to the COVID response and the way that we are working to help navigate that kind of communications, communications response. So I actually was put in charge of coordinating all of the content that was going on the primary website for the response, including all of the health-related items, all of the economic and worker relief items, and then also as well as PPE donations, community resources like food banks, that kind of thing. So not in charge of those programs, but in charge of making sure that we were communicating to the public through the website and through any design that was needed. So that means I have a lot of stuff coming at me, like, I don't even know, like crazy amounts of stuff. So my little daily, oh, I might have one thing or I might have 6 things, has turned into, this is one page, this is one day, this is one day. So each day is now flowing to a full day's worth or a full page worth of tasks that I'm overseeing, sometimes even flowing to more than one day or more than one page on a single day. And then I'm also working weekends, just a lot. So here actually is the end of March, beginning of April. I didn't even bother with a monthly cover page. It's just a continuation. I'm just going and going. So as you can also see, almost everything on every single day is all highlighted in green. And there's hardly anything that's being canceled or highlighted in gray. It's because I am operating at such a fast pace that everything that's coming in needs to get done. There's no like moving it or putting it off for a couple of weeks. So that just kind of gives you an idea of how I'm using my journal right now. I am actually working at home. I have been at home for, I have a little thing on my whiteboard over there. It's 21 days I have been working at home. And we're still set to go through the end of April to be at home and stay home order here in Michigan. And I don't see the pace of my work slowing down at all. So it's unusual for me to have this work journal with me at home. It usually just stays at the office. So working from home is a completely different situation with the way that I am using my journal. Here's actually a page of like, here's how you like update this section of the website. I had a little tutorial with the web guy so that I could handle the FAQ section, and then I just wrote it all out so I could remember how to do that part. And this ink kind of showed through, so I just covered it up with a piece of scrapbook paper. So yeah, here we go. Where Amy is working with me on design. So she's got her own page of list stuff. And so here we are. This is actually today. A couple of tasks that I got in this morning and still haven't finished. I did finish a lot of this stuff yesterday. I just need to go through and mark the things off that are finished. So my journal started out one way at the beginning of the year, and now it's a completely different animal here in the middle of the work at home, stay safe, save lives kind of first responder front lines response team for my task list, and the way that my journal is working with all of the tasks that are coming in. So that's kind of how my journal is set up. This back section here is contact information, reference material for vendors that I work with on a regular basis, printers, that kind of thing. So this kind of back section is just almost like a little phone book directory. And then I've got, you know, pockets back here, my little ruler, business cards that I either collect, or actually those are my business cards. So this journal has become the lifeline. In fact, I am not even touching my personal journal right now. I am 100% in this and working, you know, 12, 13-hour days, and this is my constant companion. So I'm going to, so next I want to talk to you about the way that I'm handling meeting notes. That part of the video is still relevant, even though it's a little bit different right now because a lot of my meetings are conference calls. So let's talk about meetings. I have been struggling with how to deal with them. When I was in this journal, it was easier, and I couldn't figure out why it was okay in this journal and it wasn't okay in this journal. So first of all, a lot of things with my job have changed, so I'm in a lot more meetings and I'm managing a lot more projects. However, I took meeting notes in here and they were fine. However, this is the Limon, the cork version, and the pages are perforated. So I can tear a page out, and I did that quite often. And then just take these meeting notes and stick it into the file for that project. So I think that's what I was missing from this new journal. So here's my idea. I've kind of been playing with this idea for the past several days, and it seems to be working, and so now I'm going to formally introduce this Padfolio, I guess is technically what it is, it's not a journal, a Padfolio, into my workflow and use it for my meeting notes. And let me just show you an example. And I just happen to have a file here, and so this here, actually, let me show you the whole thing. So I have this huge file folder of individual sections of a big project. We're celebrating our bicentennial, and there's a lot of moving parts, and it's a year-long celebration, so there's a lot of stuff going on. You can see that and I'm not even the one in charge of this. So this is just related to the design portions of the project. So I pulled one of these out, and I just had a meeting the other day, actually yesterday. And so what I've done is I've taken all of the materials that went with this meeting and then all of my notes, and I just pulled them out of the little legal pad and stapled everything together, and now it goes into the folder. So now I have a system where I can still use my journal in like air quotes, but you know, I feel like I'm zoomed in. I'm sorry, that was rude of me. But I can also take the meeting notes out of my journal and put them into the project folder where they really need to be filed. So, okay. So this is brand new. I haven't even like scuffed up the leather. You guys know me, I scuff up everything on purpose. This is an amazing journal. I just got it on Amazon, and let me just show you who it is by. So OLPR.com, they're OLPR leather goods, and it looks like they're in North Carolina, and they do have a shop on Amazon, or you can buy directly from their website. So I'm not going to pull this out because it's really super snug and cat hair, and I just don't want to. Okay, what's interesting is this piece on the inside is a suede material, and it's kind of, I want to say purple, but it's very, I don't know, is this aubergine? Is that what that color is? But you can see the difference in the color from the cover leather and this suede-like material on the inside. I love it, and I think it gives a little bit of fun and whimsy to that. Hold on to that. Okay, and so then they also have, and I don't have enough hands. Don't have enough hands, but I wanted to show you their maker's mark here on the inside. It's in a very unobtrusive way. Can you see that? Oh, there we go. It's, you know, under your pad of paper, so it's not in the way, but you still have reference to who made it, and it's not marring or changing the character or the beauty of the notebook. Okay, so we've got a pocket and then two business card pockets. This leather is very floppy. You can see it's very floppy. But once you get a notepad in here and making sure that you pick one with a heavy cardboard back, then this becomes very sturdy. I kind of think I'm going to punch a hole in this and put a an elastic around it, kind of like a traveler's notebook. So in fact, so kind of like a traveler's notebook, which is similar to what I have here. I just punched a hole in this leather and put an elastic around it so that it's easy to close, and then if I have anything tucked inside, it all stays together. This is my daily personal bullet journal. We'll look at this another day. This notepad is Office Depot brand in their professional line. And this is grid paper, and I've done a pen test. Of course I've done a pen test. You want to see? So it's not a really formal pen test, and it's not, I didn't really test all of my pens. I just tested the pens that I knew that I would be using and would possibly be a problem. This is the Tool pen from Staples. This is a fountain pen. This is actually this green ink right here. This is another fountain pen. This is, I think that's a Pilot G2. And this is mild liners. And this is Stabilo. You know that these these highlighters are problems for notebooks, right? It bleeds through everything. So I needed to test that because I knew it was the worst. And then this is a Sharpie highlighter. This is actually what I use to highlight in my journal. So, journal at work. And yes, I did buy a 12-pack of these. Okay, you guys, look at that. Nothing. Nothing. You can't see anything. There is no problem whatsoever. So we have an amazing piece of paper. You can see a shadow of it if you hold it up to the light, but otherwise you don't even see ghosting. And nothing on the Stabilo. I'm amazed. So my problem is that this notebook, or this legal pad, which is in quad rule, I was hoping for quad rule, and I was hoping for gray lines, but I got blue. I guess I'll live with blue. So this notebook I picked up at Office Depot. It was $5.99. It was the store brand, but it was 8.5 by 11 page. And this little notebook takes half size. Okay, so here we are in modern day times, like not in the far distant past of February, but actually in April. And some of my footage got, I don't know, screwed up. So I'm just gonna reshoot this little section about the notebook that's inside this Padfolio. So this started out as an 8.5 by 11 regular size legal pad, and I cut it down. And I cut it with an what's it called? A heavy duty paper cutter, and it can take up to 400 sheets of paper at a time. So it just cut through this like butter without any problem at all. And so I just cut it to the size that I needed it inside this little pocket, and then slipped it in there. So made for the perfect solution to get the size of notepad that I needed into this A5 size Padfolio. So anyway, just wanted to bring that up, and then so let me tell you a little bit about my overall system. I think that we've covered everything so far. I did end up adding an elastic band to close this. I've also, in the meantime, I have added this, actually I think it's mat board for framing pictures. And I've just cut that to the size of this little flap and inserted it there to make this less floppy. This paper is truly amazing and awesome. I love it. So highly recommend the Office Depot brand of paper. So let me just review for you my full system. So number one, we have the digital calendar. I'm 100% digital in Google Calendar with a combination of Outlook Calendar when I have meeting notifications or meeting invitations through my job. And then the bullet journal system, that's kind of not bullet journal like, but it's bullet journal-ish. And then I have my meeting note system, And then we already talked about the big projects where I have a long-term project that requires more planning than just a couple of notes in a journal, and that requires a whole filing system or even sometimes a digital project management system. The other thing that I haven't mentioned yet is my whiteboard. So I do have a huge whiteboard in my office. I'm gonna put a picture here so you can see what it looks like. It is 4 feet by 8 feet, and it takes up almost one whole wall of my office. And on there, I keep track of a variety of things. So number one, when I have things that go out to print, I like to keep track of which printer it's at, when it's expected back, or if I have upcoming print projects that I need to send out to bid and get some pricing on. So I keep track of those things on my whiteboard. And then I also, if I just need to do a big brain dump and be able to see all of my tasks for the week, or projects broken up into smaller tasks than what I have in here, I'll often do it on the whiteboard. It also helps when I have a project that includes several other people and we all need to see what the list is together. That is a good way to make it easy for everybody to see what's on the list. The other thing I use my whiteboard for, which is crazy, and sometimes I just get annoyed with all of the requests coming into me, and so I use my whiteboard out of spite. Sorry coworkers, but sometimes I just put up all of my tasks so that you can see how busy I am, so that you will just leave me alone. So sometimes it works, but most of the time it doesn't, but it makes me feel better anyway. So anyway, the whiteboard is a big part of my process as well. So that is my 5-point system, and I think that it works fairly well, and it definitely has taken me a couple of years to get my arms around it, and I think it's kind of awesome. So anyway, there we go. That's my system. I don't think it's anything special. I mean, it's taken me a couple of years to really refine it and make it good. I think it's kind of funny that I'm now totally in the green family. I'm totally on brand, even though, you know, they don't really match the Pantone, and that there's green ink inside. But yeah, that's my system. All right, so do you have a system that you use for work? Is it just a straight bullet journal like normal, or do you have some other type of process that you use for your job? And do you leave your journal at work? I don't hear very many people doing that, but really my opinion is if I don't have to think about work when I leave the office, then that's a bonus. A lot of times that doesn't work that way, but it's nice to just kind of figuratively, or you know, make it seem like it's actually true. Leaving the list at the office, I can't obsess over it. Okay, anyway, I'm rambling. That's all. Nice to be back. We'll talk to you later.